What's up, everybody? Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Caesars Sportsbook. It's me, your man, MG Marcus Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and Laquan Jones. Welcome to Bergfest.
Yes, that's what we're calling it, Bergfest.
Which is like basically the German word for hump day, I think, essentially.
Exactly. It's kind of crazy, right? That was cool to find out in the chat. Hey, shout out to the chat for that.
Hey, I know a good German restaurant you guys want to go get Das Boot one day. Like,
ooh, that sounds interesting.
Isn't that German for the boat?
It's the big boot beer they have.
The boot, man.
Yeah, okay, I'm down with that.
It's like 6 beers in one.
Fishtown and Philly has a great spot.
I enjoyed the movie Beer Fest. That was a lot of fun. We got a lot to do here on the show today. We're going to break down the first edition of the Ben Johnson Bowl between the Bears and the Lions. We'll give you our Week 2 bounce-back candidates, and we'll decide if a rookie running back in Washington fits the bill as a fantasy starter. You see what I did there?
You're good. You're good. You
like that? You like that? But first, before we dive into any of that, we will get you with some fantasy headlines. Start with one that we sort of talked about on the Monday show, but kind of an update there. George Kittle dealing with a hamstring injury. He's going to go to injured reserve, which means he's out for at least the next 4 games. So we sort of came to the consensus that if you're looking for help, the Niner roster probably not the place to go. I don't think.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Settle down.
I'm sorry.
Look at you, man. Jake Tonjes, Luke Farrell, not the guys who are going to help you out. I'm not going to ask you any questions about it because you're not going to be, you're just not going to be fair-minded. So,
Come on.
A lot of guys out there. I don't know if there are any waiver wire guys at tight end that you think are worthwhile.
I mean, if Harold Fenton Jr. is out there, I think he should be grabbed. I think Juwan Johnson. I think there's just a thing going with Spencer Rattler and Juwan Johnson. Like, that's the apple of his eye, you know? So,
all right, let's turn our attention to Week 2. It is time for Seize the Season, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Taking a look at Thursday Night Football between the Commanders and the Packers from Lambeau Field. Here are the first touchdown odds for that ball game. Very little shock, Josh Jacobs, he who is just a touchdown machine, with the best odds there. Everybody else coming in right about the same. Jaden Daniels, Jaden Reed, Jaden Kraft, Jaden McLaurin. I'm sorry, there's only 2 Jadens on there. Tucker Kraft, Terry McLaurin, the other guys there.
The Commanders should be higher than the Packers' potentially top 2 pass catchers. We don't even know if it's their top 2 every week.
We have no idea.
I'm kind of mad. Where's Bill? I think he scored the first touchdown. Where is Bill?
We will get into that in just a little bit.
Bill?
We'll get into that in just a bit. Let's talk about the pass catchers, though, right? Because that is a big story. It was not a great week for Terry McLaurin. Obviously missed pretty much all of training camp as he was holding in, trying to get a new contract. The Green Bay Packers last week, Laquan, shut down that Detroit Lions offense. Does that give you any concern about Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, the rest of the Washington receivers?
The Packers is a top 5 defense, and that was without Micah Parsons. So I do think there is going to be a concern there for these wide receivers, but I'm not panicking yet when we talk about Terry McLaurin because it is a little concerning, though, when he leads a team in routes and he's only targeted them on 13% of them. So he was the cardio king of the week. So I'm looking at this like, oh, wow. So what does that mean? You over and look at Deebo. It looks like that connection between him and Jaden Daniels these last couple months have been on full display in week 1. So Cliff Kingsbury and obviously the coaching staff, they want to utilize Deebo at the maximum capacity. We saw him running downfield, getting little screens, everything that we liked about Deebo when he was with your 40-winers. Like, I do think that at the end of the day, Deebo becomes a strong flex candidate just based on he's going to have that target volume and the connection between him and JD is just flourishing right now.
We're gonna have a jar that you have to put a nickel in every time you say 40-winers.
It just I can't say.
I'm gonna be able to buy like multiple lunches by the end of the day. It's gonna be fantastic.
Lunchables. Let's go.
Buy low on Terry if anyone's freaking out.
Yeah, absolutely do that.
Buy low.
100%.
Buy low.
I mean, you heard Laquan, though, talk about Bill, right? Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, he was the new hotness, especially at the end of training camp once the Commanders traded Brian Robinson to San Francisco. Had a really nice first week. You and I both expressed a little bit of skepticism about it. This is a good Packer defense, a good Packer run defense. Would you start JCM this week?
It's very option-based, on my opinion. I think he's in the flex range. And on Fantasy Live, me and Rank both had him around like the 60th ranked player amongst flex options, which is running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Because of a couple of different things. One, he played a third of the snaps last week. He looks really good. I think there's a lot of upside to be had with Bill going forward if he's going to get a lot of the volume. But Deebo gets involved in the rushing game. Jaden Daniels runs. And on top of that, it's a good Packers defense, and it's a short week for a rookie in his second NFL game. That, to me, is concerning and I think should be factored into your decision-making.
Yeah, I'm very curious about how this is going to go. I know a lot of folks excited about him. I would tend to take a wait and see, especially because on a Thursday, the last thing I want on a Thursday night is a guy that I don't feel great about putting him in the lineup. And then suddenly you get like a 7, and you're stuck looking at a 7-point game like
on
all
a third.
weekend long.
Like your entire weekend is destroyed. You're already trending towards a loss once your Thursday night is ruined like that. Like seriously,
I will say in one deeper league, I'm flexing him over T.J. Hawkinson this week.
Ooh, spicy.
That
T.J.
is
Hawkinson
spicy.
helped me get.
He did nothing for me in week 1. It
you know
made
what?
me sad.
He did very little. He did just enough to help me beat producer Hytham Kalani by 0.2 points.
0.2.
So not only did Hytham lose by 0.2 points, he also had to watch his Bears go down in flames on Monday night. Welcome to the football season, everybody.
We love you.
One last one here about this game, Laquan. How many Packers would you consider starting? I know Josh Jacobs is one for sure. Beyond that, who?
Nobody really, because come on now, Jordan Love is even a question. This guy completed 10 different passes to 10 different receivers. So I'm looking at this as like, my guy, you had less than 200 yards. How is that possible?
You're spreading it around like that.
Why are you spreading it so thin? So therefore, you look at a Jaden Reed. Can you trust him in your starting lineup? No, because he's playing less than 40% of the snaps. Romeo Doubs seems like the safest floor here if you're going to flex him because he's the only one that played over 50% of the snaps. So I'm looking at this like, okay, now Matthew Golden. I mean, come on. Do we really trust Matthew Golden? He's a rookie right now. And obviously the Packers want to run the ball. This is a top 5 rushing offense last season. They're going to run the ball. That is the identity of that. And you're going to trust this offense, who's a run-heavy offense with 10 different people in the pie? No, I'm good.
My favorite yearly tradition is everyone getting all excited about a Packers receivers, and then Romeo Doubs is the wide receiver one.
He's like the Captain America.
And routes
He's the
year.
Captain America of the wide receiver room, but we like Tony Stark better. He's cooler. But
Tony Stark is way cooler.
But we don't know who Tony Stark is. Is it Golden? Is it Reed?
I was Team Iron Man when they were feuding, by the way.
I mean, yeah.
It's all fun and games.
Iron Man was right.
Until Malik Heath gets a whole bunch of targets in week 2.
Come on, what are we doing?
That's what we're doing. There you go. That was Seize the Season presented by Caesar Sportsbook. New users can bet $1 to boost their next 20 bets by 100%. Must be 21 or older. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Diving further into week 2. It's the Ben Johnson Bowl, the first edition of the Ben Johnson Bowl. The Bears travel to Detroit to take on the Lions. Ben Johnson and the Bears coming off a tough loss on Monday Night Football. Forget real football, right? Because obviously there were things that Caleb Williams, throws that he missed, what have you. From a fantasy perspective, though, he got you over 20 points. What was your fantasy take, Laquan, on what you saw from Caleb and the Bears?
I love it. Keep running. Keep being manic in the pocket. Keep running away, even though you have a O-line that's protecting you. Keep rolling out. Like, he barely was just this close to get to, 500 rushing yards last season. I think we raised the bar. He's going up to, 600 and 700 at this rate of the rushing yards because it's just he was everywhere. But the good thing about it is, with him running around and rolling out, he has great pocket presence. There was one throw to Roma Dunze on the sideline where he rolled out. That was, a perfect, crisp play. I'm just looking at, we're watching generational talent actually ooze it. This isn't hype of a Trevor Mid-Lawrence here. Caleb Williams is going out there and really, really putting on the show, but I think in the second half, he got a little ahead of himself.
He became Caleb Mid-Lawrence.
Caleb Mid-Lawrence. No, we're not doing that to Caleb, bro. But I'm just saying, the first half was that's the pocket he needs to stick to. I was very happy from a fantasy manager watching that because I'm the upside is there. The top 12 ceiling is there for him.
He had DJ Moore for a touchdown. If they connect,
he
did
play a little security blanket with Swift, but that's good for Swift owners. That's going to be elite usage.
I just want him to hit his guys.
There were just some missed throws. There were some easy throws.
Not Debo. Sure. I'm thinking about DJ Moore and Debo. They're kind of the same when it comes to yards after the catch. I think you can utilize DJ Moore closer to be a security blanket for Caleb because he could work after the catch. And then Roma Dunze, you just hit long as your Pro X.
Yeah, I think they want to. I mean, they want to move these guys around. We'll see how it happens. They just need Caleb to make some of those easier throws. But otherwise, everything else was great. I also think if he runs for 700 yards, the Bears are in trouble.
Oh, my God.
Will we see the Lions offense rebound? It was a bad week 1 for them.
I rewatched this game yesterday, and I did not like what I saw at all. I thought it was underreported in the offseason about them losing 2 key pieces of the interior part of their offensive line. But and look, I will fully say there's a chance that this Packers D-line is the best in football or one of the best. There's a lot of talent there. But Jared Goff was running for his life. He was uncomfortable in the pocket. He was constantly on the move. And because of that, almost all of his throws were quick and short. They couldn't get established the run up the middle. This was not the Lions of old. They averaged fewer yards per play in this game than in any game with Ben Johnson in 3 seasons.
Sheesh.
So, like, I know they're back home. I know Jared Goff has never played well in Green Bay. I have him as a sit this week because, one, you were drafting him as a QB2 anyway, but there's a lot of potential there. I need to see the Lions look like the Lions of old without Ben Johnson for me to get back on.
All right, if our text chain was any indication here, you might want some earmuffs right now.
Floria's turning red already.
Laquan, is Keon Coleman, is he the real thing? Is he ready to go?
I don't know yet. I'm not sure because 7 catches in the fourth quarter.
That's a lot softer than what you were leading on.
Because
yesterday.
I still want to be able to sit next to Florio, today. Because I do think 7 catches in the fourth quarter, that's rare that's going to happen for Keon Coleman. It's rare that the Bills are going to be throwing the ball this much. The only time they really tap into this bag is when they're going against the Ravens or there's a shootout on the line. If you look at the next couple of games, there is no shootouts on the schedule. It's going to be Bills football. They're going to be running the ball like they usually do. So I'm not expecting this type of wide receiver 1 production from Keon Coleman. Furthermore, until they get back into one of these matchups where they're going to have to throw the ball heavy. They were 28th in pass plays last season, so it doesn't make sense why we're going to jump into week 2 and think Keon Coleman is going to be wide receiver 1 production.
Well, I don't think he's going to give you this kind of production every week, but I do think he's going to be better than he was last year.
Every single end zone throw goes his way. I'm going to take the guy that's going to get the end zone targets from the best quarterback on the planet.
I mean,
listen,
it's hard to argue.
high-end wide receiver 2 at max, I'll label
That's
him.
fine because
You're drafting him as a 4 or a 5.
That's
I
fine.
get it, but
That's
I just don't
absolutely
think
Like, I'm
there's
starting
gonna
him
be,
this week in a number of leagues.
Oh my God.
But you're starting him as a wide receiver 2 or 3. Like, I think that's absolutely fine. Like, he's going to beat ADP.
I will
I'm
say
telling you he's going to beat ADP.
He will.
I know we're going
Great.
long, but like I spoke to 2 people, one a former wide receiver and one a scout, and they both were just raving about Keon Coleman and how great he's going to be for Josh Allen.
Good enough for me. Justin Fields ran up and down.
I'll get us time here. Yes, he's going to run all over this Bills defense. He's going to run all over every defense, but specifically this one, yes.
All right.
He's a start for me. Just
Done,
play him.
done and done. We'll move on to the Seahawks and the Steelers. Laquan, who is Seattle's number 2 target after JSN, and why is his name Cooper Kupp?
It's JSN. I mean, the guy had a 59% target
the one
share.
and two.
What are we talking about, man? 59% target share. I mean, Kupp, he didn't do anything really impressive. I mean, 2 of his targets were less than 5 yards.
That feels bad, right? That feels like
It's horrible. They're going to run the ball. That's all Seattle wants to do.
That feels bad. Like, I mean, it's
And they're
great.
using 2 running. Like, this might be a team that has 1 fantasy option,
It's
and that's
great
it.
in the short term, right? If you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, it's great that he gets all those targets. But, like, it's eventually every defensive coordinator is going to be like, all right, let's just stop that guy, right? It's just going to be harder to sustain.
They're going to be a run-heavy offense, and they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. They're going to be hyper-focused on JSN when they need that spark, and that's exactly how Week 1 played out. If this is going to be the identity of this offense moving forward, Kupp is near the drop zone. Like, I don't even think that he's going to be worth rostering if this is the identity of this offense.
I do think they spread it around a little bit more, but man, that was like, it was one of those like good news, bad news things. Like, hey man, JSN got all the targets. Like, JSN got all the targets.
That was the
Literally.
only good thing from Seattle for Week 1.
Hey man, don't. This is a Zach Charbonnet. This
Oh,
is no
well, you
slander.
as well.
And no slander.
I'm in
Zach
my feelings as a
Zach
Kenneth
Charbonnet
Walker
zone.
guy.
Oh, wait, that's the other school.
He went to the other school.
My bad.
Stop.
Yeah, my fault.
Florio, you in on the DK Metcalf revenge game?
Somewhat. Like, I think this Seahawks defense is going to be one of the better ones in the league, and I think they're not going to be one that we look to play people in fantasy routinely. But Aaron Rodgers is tapped into the media and the narratives and all that more than maybe any other player, and he likes to force feed his guys. I think DK catches a touchdown in this one.
Going to be very interesting because we thought there'd be a heavy dose of DK, and it was, but we also saw
One of the luckiest catches you'll ever see to win the game.
We also saw Jonnu Smith and Ben Skoranek and Calvin Austin, a whole lot of other guys sprinkled in. So maybe there's more to go around there. All right, time to talk about some bounce backs, guys who maybe let you down in Week 1. We think will bounce back in Week 2. We talked about Zach Charbonnet, so you're talking about the guy. You're talking about the RB2 now in Seattle. Huh?
No. We're not doing RB2. Kenneth Walker is due for a bounce back. I think there was a ramp-up period. He did miss a lot of time in the summer, and he has the matchup with the Steelers. They allowed 6.9 2.9 yards per carry to Breece Lightning, who is back on the outside zone run. So I think that's the bread and butter of Clint Kubiak's scheme. So I do think we get a bounce back from Kenneth Walker this week.
All right. Who's your bounce back this week, Florio?
A.J. Brown. Because how could he not? He had one catch that came after 2 minutes. And the thing is, like, I know there's concerns if he's healthy or not. I would be trying to buy A.J. Brown in fantasy right now because I'm a big believer in, like, just gamble on elite talent. And we know he is an elite talent. So you're going to still have to pay something to get him. But if you could get him for cheap, I think it's worth it.
Absolutely. For me, I'm going to go Joe Burrow. The Bengals had 7 yards of offense in the second half against the Browns. I don't think that's going to happen again.
Yeah.
Plus, look, for whatever reason, the Browns just know how to stop this Bengals offense. Myles Garrett looked like he had hacked into their emails and figure out the game plan the way he was in the backfield the whole time. So I think against the Jaguars, you're going to see Joe Burrow get back to looking like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase getting healthy as well. I expect a big offensive performance from the Cincinnati Bengals in this one. All right. Time for a quick break. We're going to come back with some more game previews, plus a look at some sleepers for Week 2 next on the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Caesar Sportsbook.
NFL Fantasy Football Show is presented by Caesar Sportsbook. New users can bet $1 to boost their next 20 bets by 100%. Must be 21 or older. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms.
Giants and Cowboys, a rivalry game in the NFC East. Malik Neighbors was not a happy camper last weekend. You know, he didn't have Daniel Jones anymore, but apparently not happy with Russell Wilson. I don't know. Anyway, who's the best quarterback for Malik Neighbors in New York?
Jackson Dart. Look, he was excited with Jackson Dart. And look, I think the range of outcomes, the highest upside is with Dart because I think Russ is what he is at this point. Like, he still has a good deep ball, but he's always fighting for his life and stuff. Dart brings excitement, and he's got that downfield ability as well.
At least Dart can roll out because the O-line is still trash. I mean, like the O-line is still what it was last year. And so I think putting Winston back there, Dart back there, it doesn't matter at the end of the day if the O-line is still terrible. So.
Very true. Saw a lot of CeeDee Lamb last week. Not so much George Pickens.
Yeah.
Laquan, do we see more from George Pickens this week?
I think so. Now, I think when you look at that defense that the Giants have right now, a lot of pass rush, but they were terrible at stopping the deep ball. This is the bread and butter between Dak, and that's what's on George Pickens' utility belt. That is his biggest strength. So I think they attack the field downfield. I think that they get him a little bit more used vertical downfield as well because they were trying to use him a lot short and close to the line of scrimmage, which doesn't make sense to me. So I think that we get the bounce back for Pickens.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see them get him more involved. See if they can get that deep ball going again too, because that
only
was not
one
something
target. Like, it was just like, why? Just keep abusing it.
Plus, if they don't get him involved, he's liable to.
Well, Quinyon Mitchell was putting the clamps out there, though.
Very true. He's also liable to go ham if he doesn't get a whole lot of targets in the very near future. We'll see. 49ers at the Saints. You sort of touched on this a little bit earlier, Florio. But if Brock Purdy can't go, are any of the San Francisco pass catchers startable?
Ricky Pearsall, I think, still is. Like, I think he takes a hit without Brock Purdy, but he would get all of the volume there. He was one of 3 wide receivers. I believe it was him, Neighbors, and Coleman with numerous end zone targets and over 100 air yards in week 1, which is elite usage. And then the Saints are a favorable matchup. So look, Mac Jones elevated Brian Thomas Jr. last year. Maybe he could do the same here for Ricky Pearsall, but I think Ricky's in play either way.
Very curious to see what Juwan Jennings' availability is going to be. Seems like it's not a serious injury for him, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. On the other side, Juwan Johnson had a big week 1. Is he a thing, Laquan? Is this happening?
I've been preaching with him all summer long, and I actually had the privilege to text one of his former teammates in Jameis Winston, and I asked him, what stood about Juwan in his game? What makes you have these special moments that you guys shared in New Orleans? And he texted back and said, Juwan is such a great route runner. He had an excellent catch radius. With his ability to create separation because he's essentially a big wide receiver, it was a matchup nightmare against any defender. So that showed and displayed in week 1. I expect this for season long because he made Chris Olave look like the second cast of that New Orleans offense.
That feels like an edited version of what Jameis would really say. Not that he would say anything bad or like, FCC violating, but he would just add his own flavor to it.
He texted the word big wide receiver in caps, so he wanted to emphasize on that.
That feels about right
yes.
for Jameis, for sure. Broncos at the Colts. Interesting one here. 2 teams that are 1-0. Had kind of easier matchups in week 1. This is a tougher matchup for both sides. Florio, which Broncos running back do you trust the most here?
The one that played, I like that you're doing it back to me. The one that played the most, though, it's J.K. Dobbins. He had more than half the snaps. He had the most routes on the team, and he had the most carries by far. Most routes amongst the running backs. I want R.J. Harvey to be the guy, but Sean Payton needs to want him to be the guy before we could trust him in fantasy. Because if he didn't have that 50-yard run, and you're not going to be able to bank on I know that's a big play of what makes him great, but you can't bank on that each week. Without that, we're talking about less than 5 fantasy points, and the opportunity wasn't great. So I have Dobbins in a couple of spots, and I'm flexing him this week. Sorry. Okay.
Who led the team in scrimmage yards? R.J. Harvey.
But you can't bank on 7 opportunities.
I'm telling you now, there's no way Sean Payton's sitting on the sideline or even watch film going back after this game.
Man.
You know what? I'm still going to sprinkle him in.
Marvin Mims is on line 1 right now.
He led the league in yards per route ran and is a rookie.
Marvin Mims has a twin of overlapping role in Troy Franklin, but I don't want to spend too much on this subject.
Before Franklin was on the team, he was leading the league in yards per route. And Sean Payton doesn't care about our teams.
If Sean Payton treats R.J. Harvey like Marvin Mims, get him out of here. Denver needs to be in uproar because clearly the talent is there. He possesses the spark.
I agree. But until we see it, I don't think you could trust
it's just like all of a sudden,
he's in my starting lineups this week.
I don't understand why you all of a sudden have all this faith in Sean Payton to do what he says he's going to do.
I have faith in R.J. Harvey.
On Monday, you hated him.
Listen,
anyway,
change your heart.
Other side of that game, Laquan, would you start Michael Pittman knowing he's probably going against Patrick Surtain, who just locked down on Calvin Ridley last week?
No, because I don't think Michael Pittman's on the same tier as Calvin Ridley, and Pat Surtain is there. He allowed 0 catches in 34 coverage snaps. There is no way I'm rolling out Michael Pittman with Daniel Jones, who's my guy, but I do think that this is going to be a true test for the Daniel Jones hype, but Michael Pittman is not in starting lineups for any of my leagues.
Last year, those two teams played, and 16 snaps between Pittman and Surtain, 1 target, 0 catches. Exactly how that went.
That's on track.
There it is. All right, hey, now it is time for Earn Your Sunday, presented by Lowe's. We got these fancy little mini helmets here. Here. We're going to talk some sleepers, guys that we think maybe on the fringes, but maybe should be in your lineups this week. Laquan, welcome to where Florio and I have been for a little while. Welcome.
It's nice over here in New England, man. I'm going with Drake May. He's my sleeper this week. He's heading down the South Beach to the Jersey Shore Miami cast to join in on the chaos. Like, we just saw Daniel Jones burn them, and they're still in turmoil. Oh, yeah. We got Unit coming down, shaking up the place of Miami. And I definitely think Drake May in my starting lineups this week's helped me for the guys that, like Jared Goff that disappointed. Jordan Love in week 1. Drake May was always a QB2 drafted to slap behind those guys. So this week, I have him as a start and a sleeper this week to show up and show out.
Ooh, I do like to think he bounces back. I thought when I watched that last game, he just looked uncomfortable in the Josh McDaniels offense.
He threw the ball 46 times.
Yeah, that's
and he aired it out. He was airing it out.
Not a thing they want.
That's good for Keyshawn.
He reminds me of so much of early career Josh Allen. Like, he's got all the tools. He's just got to rein it in.
It's Josh Allen, but Timo.
He didn't.
Yeah. I mean, there's only one.
He didn't run as much as I wanted him to either. He looked uncomfortable running the football.
It was a very wet.
It was a weird game for sure. Who's your sleeper this week?
Harold Fannin Jr.
Yep. Let's go.
I will say this. I have him as a sit in Stardom Sit-'em, but I start off the section by being like, let me make this very clear. I want him on as many rosters as I possibly can. I just don't love the matchup this week, and I kind of want to see him do it more than just once. But a team-high 9 targets last week, set the rookie record for tight end catches by a rookie in week 1, was the first read on almost a quarter of the passing plays. And we talked about it on Monday. I think he's like a wide receiver in a tight end body. Yep. If he does this again, I think we just get to the point where you start starting him.
They used a lot of 12 personnel, and that's what helped keep him on the field. But to your point, they used him kind of as a big slot receiver.
Yeah.
We might summon the blonde bandit. Because he might be top 5, man. If he's getting that type of volume.
Permanent blonde.
Permanent blonde. We're going real this year. Chat, I got y'all. I'm sorry.
For me, I'm going with Trey Benson this week because the Cardinals ran the ball very effectively. Benson, another one of those guys who had a big play but also got a lot more opportunity. He said during the offseason that he felt like the Cardinals had 2 running back ones, and I was kind of like, I don't know, but I don't think it's quite that level yet, but I do think the gap's closing between him and James Conner. On top of it, I'm just chasing bad defenses. Yeah. The Panthers are a bad defense. They got run over by Travis Etienne last week against Jacksonville. I think James Conner has a good week. I think Trey Benson is worth a flex start in a lot of leagues this week, so I think he picks it up as well. There you go. Those are your sleepers here for week 2. And in the meantime, for us, that is it. We are done. Catch our fantasy football shows there on the NFL Fantasy app as well as on YouTube. We appreciate you hanging out with the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Caesar Sportsbook. You know the drill. Tell 2 friends to tell 2 friends. Rate, review, and remember, don't let one bad apple make you think everyone's going to be bananas. Be safe, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you again real soon.